Hello everyone, this is Chris checking in from the lab, and this is a third video in a series of a discussion on sentiment models in FileMaker. So in the first video, I showed you how to create a sentiment model. I used CreateML in about 500,000 different items. They were individual text files that had two columns in them. One was a review from an Airbnb or a Yelp site, and then the other one was a column that indicated whether or not the tone of that review was either positive or negative. So I had 500,000 of those, created a new model, a sentiment model that I look forward to sharing with you as an add-on here shortly. And then I took the model in video number 2 and showed you how to integrate it into FileMaker, how to place the .ml model file that is output from CreateML into a container field. And then I showed you the scripting support that's necessary and the calculation field support that's necessary to integrate a model of any kind into your workflow. So now what I want to do is let you guys have this model. I want to create a free add-on, and I'm going to show you how to create the free add-on as a nice sort of refresher on creating add-ons in general. So what I did is I created this file called sentiment model. It's very similar to the one that you saw in video number 2, but I stripped all the stuff out of it that you don't need. So for example, all you really need is a model table and these 10 fields. So I put the 10 fields in there. I created one record so that you can actually store the model in the record, and that'll come over as part of the add-on. I also created a series of scripts. You see here, there's a folder called sentiment model. I created a run review sentiment, which just runs the appropriate scripts against one record. And then the same script, but in a loop, so you can run it against a found set. Then also the unload model. This is it's something that you'll have to attach to the on last window close script trigger. So for example, if you went under file options after you install, you go into script triggers and you say on last window close. So that's why I put that little note there in the name of it so that you would know to do so. But I did this in a manner where I'm performing a find in the model table, which is why I wanted to make sure you had a layout for the model table so that you could perform that search manually if you needed to. And I'm using a technique where I simply set a field with either a 1 or a 0 based on whether or not the model was loaded within that session. So the reason that you're attaching this to close is so that you can clear them all out to false, not loaded, when you restart the file. Otherwise, you'll get a false trigger on that. Probably the more elegant way to do this, though, is to use a very sort of a function that I don't think most people even know exists. It's called get model attributes function. And the get model attributes function, here you can see its name, would allow you to detect whether or not a model is running. So you could use this approach as well too. So this is what I've determined works here. The JSON get element, because you get JSON back from this function. What's the model name in equals model name. And then just a little thing here where what you're doing in the attributes is saying, what's the model name of the running model? And then say, is that the name of the model that's stored in this record in the model table? Conversely, you could do the same thing. And if you get a question mark, that means that there's no model loaded. So I would encourage you to probably, learn a little bit more about that function and use that technique instead. Then I created an individual load model and even a toggle model script that says if it's not loaded, then load it. If it is loaded, then unload it. Put all those into a folder. And then I created another layout here. It's actually a duplicate of this model layout, but there's something different about it. It's got objects on it for starters. These are the objects that you will drag from your add-ons pane into a layout. You will need to put that into a layout that's based on the model table. So that's why I included the model layout. And the reason I created a duplicate of that layout is because in order for an add-on to be created, you have to use this specific naming convention for your layout name. So this is what the naming convention for creating any add-on in English, at least, would be. Then the other requirement is I take all of the objects that I want to have be part of the add-on itself, the thing that gets dragged from this pane onto the layout, and I group them. And then in addition to that, I have to use this very specific naming convention that you see there. I'll just put it onto the layout for better visibility. I have to name the grouped object this exact item there, and that is so that it gives it its own UUID, which is what facilitates the uninstall process. So all of that has been created for you, and I'll show you in the scripts that I did some things on purpose. The main scripts here are the run review or the loop run review, and you see that I purposely removed the fields. I had actually pulled this field from where I was attaching it to a separate table context to do sentiment analysis. That's the one that I showed all of you in video number 2. I purposely deleted that table after the script was created so that users can see this as an error when they first load the add-on. And then I provided instruction on what field you're supposed to map to there. I'll cover all this in the next video in this series. But I just thought that was a good technique and useful for creating an add-on. So now what I need to do is run a script step. Now you see that I've got this separate file called Addon Loader, and you'll notice that it's got a button here, and I want to show you that there's one script step attached to that button. It is the script step that's called Save a Copy as Add-on Package. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I just run that script over here and create an add-on? Well, that's because this script would then be part of the add-on, which isn't very clean. So the way that you get around that, a little bit of a hack, is you create a separate file that just runs the script and point it towards a certain window name. So you notice that I chose the window name Sentiment Model, which is the window name over here. So if I just let that play, you'll see that we get a little bit of a beach ball. And now our add-on has been created, and that is evidenced by the fact that this window that pops up, you'll notice here, shows us that an add-on was created. It's called Sentiment Model. And this folder is in your library under Application Support, under the FileMaker folder, inside Extensions, and within there you'll see one called Add-on Modules. So every add-on that has been created and loaded, not the ones that ship with FileMaker, you can find those in a different folder. But the ones that you've created using that script step, you can see them listed here. You have 2 different formats of an add-on now. This wasn't the case when FileMaker 19 was originally released with this functionality, but you'll see that you have the folder. That's the one that I'm going to use, and that's the one I'm going to zip up. And then you have this actual plug-in add-on file that you can place. It's supposed to be a little bit easier to deliver. I haven't worked with it much yet, so I'm just going to give you a couple of tips on the folder. And the reason I prefer the folder is for a little bit of updating. So we don't need these files anymore. I'm just going to show you a little folder that I've got up here where I've got an icon, 2 icons actually. You'll see that this is a custom icon that I found something online that would be the icon for the sentiment model. And you see that it's 96 by 96 size-wise. Same is true here for the icon at 2x PNG, also 96 by 96. And then finally what I did is I took a screenshot of something that I thought would be good to use as a preview. And you'll see that that is a square at 576, 576. The actual preview file in the folder here is 288, 288. So actually, so you'll see when we open this up that it is 288 by 288. And those are the same files of the corresponding image files over here in the folder that was created. So I'm just going to take this and drag it and say, yes, replace all. And now you'll see that I have the icons and the preview that actually match the add-on that I've created. So at this point, now the add-on is ready to be integrated into another application. I'm going to do that in the next video. So thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to getting feedback and hearing how all of you are using this add-on. Information about how to download the add-on will be available in the notes for this video and inside the post. So thank you for your attention, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.